Leap Forward is brought to you by Bridge Academy, an accredited CPD partner of the Institute of the Motor Industry. Bridge Academy is a learning platform helping people upskill for the industries that power the world, from EV and fleet management to sustainability and technology. Bridge Academy makes accredited learning accessible, engaging, and ready for real-world application. Because the future belongs to those who never stop learning. Visit bridgelt.com to explore more. Today on Leap Forward, we welcome Jared Dowdy, a seasoned learning leader who specializes in architecting digital training strategies for global mobility and automotive operations. Drawing on over 15 years of retail experience, Jared emphasizes that success relies on using technology to scale brilliant basics while prioritizing the human communication skills that tech cannot replace. Hello and welcome to the Leap Forward podcast. This is the show where we explore the people, the thinking, and the systems that are defining the future of work, learning, and leadership. And today I'm really excited to speak with someone who's spent his career building learning platforms, designing training for global sales and service operations, and helping organizations navigate digital, cultural, and learning transformational journeys. Jared Dowdy is a seasoned learning leader whose previous roles include senior training leadership at Hyundai Motor America and global director roles at Harley-Davidson University. He's helped to architect learning strategies, drive digital retail training, and embed continuous development in large, complex enterprise operations. Jared, it's a real pleasure to have you on the Leap Forward podcast.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
And for those who are unfamiliar with your work, why don't you start with describing your role and how you ended up specializing in learning and development in the mobility and automotive sector?
Man, there's many roles. Where do I start? How long do we have? Yeah, so I primarily I spent a long time, 15 plus years on the retail automotive side. Did everything from wash cars to run dealerships. Within that space, I had the unique opportunity of working for Mossy Automotive Group in San Diego in their training department. And I really gravitated towards that. After moving out of that, became, manager roles, general manager roles, things of that nature. But it wasn't until an MBA later, I said, what do I want to do with my life when I grow up and I become an adult and a big kid? And it wasn't that. Um, had an opportunity to get over on the vendor side for learning and development and just embrace that. I loved it. My passion was to help dealers and to be able to create content for them that makes their life easier, gives them a better ROI on their investments, training materials, things of that nature. And that's really what I gravitated to. Moved up through that into major corporations like Hyundai Motor America. Worked in various positions there. Ended with the training department and running their training department and digital retail initiatives, and then eventually went over to run Harley Davidson's global training initiatives, both sales, service. I mean, that was a big ask. Very unique and diverse markets around the globe, and the journey has led me to where I'm at now. And if you would have said, "Hey, an MBA later, you're going to end up in the technology space," I would have said, "You're crazy. I don't develop things. I don't, that's not me. I don't have a background in it." But in investigating transacts and understanding the company, it's allowed me to understand how I can embrace this side of the business from a technology standpoint and still have that learning and training passion and be able to deliver a concept or to be able to deliver a platform to our customers that still helps them, still helps with their ROI, helps with customer satisfaction, brings everything into one platform instead of pieced together. So I've continued that journey. My dream was to become a college professor, and really, when I told the universe was I want to teach. Well, in a sense, I'm teaching, just not the way I thought it was gonna be, so that's kinda 30,000-foot view is probably more than you wanted, but that's me.
It's amazing, and I think that really interesting how you're teaching through technology at scale, right? That's and I love that sort of idea that you want to kind of, I suppose, you saw the power and value of learning and the impact that can have on people and on organizations. Is that what really drew you in? Would you say?
Yeah, it really is. That was the key to me. It's great to be able to impact a dealer one-on-one, and I love those conversations because it makes me feel like I'm still connected to retail, and you know, it's I don't want to like it to the military because the military is a, you know, I love the military. My grandpa is a veteran. My best friend, rest in peace, veteran. Um, it, but in some way, shape, or form, once retail, always retail. And so working one on one is great, but when you can do it in masses, like you say, and affect change in a bigger at a bigger scale, is way more impactful and it's way more meaningful. Still accomplishing the same thing with the one on one conversations, but it's way more impactful for sure.
And when you look back, from the early roles, whether that was
Yeah.
Hyundai and HD, what sort of experiences shaped how you think about learning?
I would go back to the first training opportunity that I had with the Mossy organization. Um, I was doing new hire training on a weekly basis where we get all the new hires, all the new salespeople in, training them on processes, how to overcome objections, things like that. But I was also in dealership with veterans that were in the car business for 20 years. And here's this new guy coming in that's been in the car business selling cars for 4 or 5 years. Like, what can you teach me? Understanding how to connect with them, how understanding how to give them benefit from what I'm bringing. It's not rocket science, right? It's not new. The sales process hasn't changed in 50 years. It is what it is. You may have a 12-step process, others might have an 8, but the end goal is the same. But understanding how to bring those seasoned veterans value was very rewarding and helped me gain that appreciation for training and helped me gain that appreciation for this is what I want to do. This is my passion. I'll share a story with you. So, living in San Diego, I'm not a Padres fan. I'm sorry, San Diego people. I will root for the Padres because my wife dearly loves them. But I had an opportunity to meet Tony Gwynn, one of, if not arguably, I would say the greatest hitter of all time in Major League Baseball. And it was on the field, and he was warming up before a game. And I went over, and he was hitting off of a tee. And he has a routine every game. He hits off a tee, then he does some soft toss, and then he gets in the cages, and then he goes back to the tee. So I had an opportunity to go over to him, and we were just chatting, and he was the nicest guy. Stopped everything that he was doing. He's getting ready for a game, for heck's sakes. Stops what he's doing, has a conversation, and we're just chatting. And I'm asking him, like, with your routine, like you're hitting off of a tee, that kind of seems elementary. And he said, it's repetition, it's going back to the basics every day. And that hit home with me. It's like, okay, that's for major league sports, but that resonated with me to say, hey, it's not reinventing the wheel or finding the shiny bullet that is going to fix everything. It's remember the basics and go back to the basics on a daily basis, right? Enlisting those seasoned veterans to say, hey, how can you help these new people with some nuggets that you may have or know on basics to help them along? And it reinvigorates them getting back to the basics. So that was a very impactful conversation for me. Um, and kind of, blaze that trail or help me blaze that trail in the training and development space.
I love it. It's a brilliant analogy, and I can completely kind of subscribe to that idea. The brilliant basics, right? When you think about your career to date, can you think of any defining moments that really shifted, the way that you kind of approach leadership and learning?
I mean, there's a few.
Yeah.
The biggest shift and the biggest change was the digital retail initiative at Hyundai,
Mhm.
um, pre-COVID. So we're rolling this digital initiative out, digital retail, and yeah, of course you know what all the dealers said. They said, "You are crazy. We don't need this. We're not selling cars online. This is and seeing the vision of this is where we're headed and this is where we're going. We need to jump on this train. So that rolling that out and getting dealers to start embracing that, as soon as COVID hit, the story changed. It was, thank you very much. We're ahead of the game. While other OEMs were scrambling to go, oh, we got to get this installed. And it just kind of took off, but we were already prepared for it because we'd already, launched that initiative. That was one that kind of helped me embrace, hey, you are a true leader in this space and you are, you know, I wouldn't call myself a visionary because I'm not. I can see, what's in front of me at the time, but it really gave me that boost of confidence to say you can lead a team, you can lead an organization on these strategic initiatives. The other, and this may be a little self-serving on your side, but the other was when I ran into at a global training initiative for Hyundai Motor Company. It was in Korea, and it was the first time that I actually met Vlad. And he was trying to push this initiative that HMC wanted to, shove down everybody's throats. And I politely several times said, no, thank you, no, thank you. And we butted heads for a long time. At the end of the day, uh, we finally got to the point where we said, we're trying to achieve the same thing. How can we do this collectively? How can we do this together and, serve both sides? And having that conversation with him and understanding the other side, because it's just a HMC wanted to drive everything, but they didn't understand our market. So helping him understand my side and our market and understanding the other side and the global impact really shaped and pivoted that leadership in in the training space as well. And here we are today, right?
That's amazing. And tell me more about sort of like how you adapted that sort of learning experience on the back of both of you or both sides of you seeing, the other side effectively. What changed?
Yeah, the change was just acknowledging and getting over. I'm an Aries. I'm a stubborn person. I'm on the cusp of Aries and Taurus, so it does not get any more stubborn than this guy. And it was finally realizing that this is bigger than just you and what's going on with you. There's a global impact to this initiative. This impacts more than just your organization, and being able to understand that to me paved the way for my tenure at Harley-Davidson and being able to run a global organization, understanding that we're not just creating content for the US market. There's a bigger impact, and how can we do this globally as one and be more cost effective, be more efficient in our training, things of that nature.
It's a really great sort of segue into my next question, I suppose. You're running these global programs. You can perhaps help size them up for me in a minute. Multi-language. Back to your point earlier about the veterans. You're dealing with people kind of who've been there and done it for decades. You're also dealing it with people who are fresh out of college or fresh into role. Tell me a little bit about sort of how you think about sort of catering for those sort of different sort of types of learners, and obviously from a kind of global perspective, what kind of cultural nuances there are in that learning experience.
Yeah, it's all over the place. If you're just catering to the basics, you're going to lose more than half of your audience because you do have those seasoned veterans out there that don't want to hear the basics, or they don't think they want to hear the basics again. Um, so it's understanding what's the need, uh, what are the challenges that we're facing as a company, and how can we address those both on the entry level scale and the seasoned veteran scale. So it's developing and setting your content up in a way where, okay, you're new and fresh, you need this content. um, Seasoned veterans, you don't necessarily need that. You can refer back to it, but here's content for you that's going to further your understanding and your learning about basics, but at a higher level, right? So it's understanding that. The language aspect of it throws in a whole other nuance. There's one universal, just like math. Math is a universal language, right? Everybody does math the same way, or we hope everybody does it the same way. There's one universal language that everybody understands, and that's retail. Being able to have having that experience, having been there, done that, having walked a mile in your shoe, having been on all sides of the business from retail to vendor side to working for the manufacturer and now delivering content, it hits home because they understand that you've been there. You understand our pain points, you understand what we're going through, so I'll listen to you, right? So it's having that credibility goes a long way.
Really interesting. And picking up on that retail point, you've obviously sort of talked a lot about sort of this concept of digital retailing and training for change. Today, everyone's looking for ROI. Everyone's looking for kind of, okay, I'm investing, what's the return? How do you align sort of learning design with business transformation?
Yeah, so it's simplification is the easiest way. That's what our current company. I mean, we are a software development company, right? That's what we develop. It's it's making sure that you can simplify things, not just from a cost perspective, but simplify things. So it's consolidating, having one platform for multiple use. Um, it's it's cutting that bill in half, giving you that ROI because there's got to be what's in it for me. Why should I change? I got 5 vendors that are doing what you're doing. Why should I switch to you on one platform? Giving them that ROI. But the key is just simplification. Making things simple, easy to understand, easy to use, making the UI very simple, and consolidation. That's really the key.
And when you're looking to, I suppose, in a sense, sort of, embark upon that sort of that phase one, that initial phase, or you're going in and you've got to try and turn something around that perhaps hasn't performed in the past. What are the kind of the big inhibitors that you sort of face when you're dealt with that situation? Is it tech adoption? Is it getting the leadership engaged? Is it the culture? How do you what are they and how do you overcome them?
Yes, is the answer to all of those. Technology is always gonna be a big hurdle, right? We finally embraced. I mean, think about this, I think I'm probably much older than you are, but, back in the day, to communicate with each other, it was, "Hey, I'm going over to so and so's house, and you rode your bike over," right? You tried to call, but the phone was always busy because somebody was on the other line. We didn't have that call waiting until much later, and who answered that? Quickly evolved into beepers. I mean, I had this conversation with my teenage daughters the other day. They're both in high school, and they said, "What's a beeper?" And I'm like, "Oh man, just dated myself." I sound like my parents when they're like, "What's a rotary phone?" But it progressed to beepers, and then all of a sudden the internet comes out, and we can send emails back and forth. Technology will continue to change. I mean, we're seeing it with AI in a year's time. How much has AI changed, and how much has AI changed the space? Right? I mean, it's it's helping people understand, here's how this is going to make your life better. From a leadership standpoint, you have to sell that up top and say, here's how it's going to help your organization. Here's the ROI that you're going to get. And then being able to connect, having that real world experience, that retail experience to say, yeah, I know technology is difficult to understand and difficult to use, but the quicker we embrace it and the quicker we get on board, the easier it's gonna make your job. You're gonna be able to sell more, get to more customers, get onto things quicker, make your life a lot easier. So that's really, um, yeah, in a nutshell, that's
Yeah.
kind of it. Like technology is the biggest hurdle right now. I mean, you guys see it.
Absolutely, and that's a great link into kind of my next question. Things are moving so fast at the moment, like you said.
Yeah.
Just like you can kind of almost plot kind of like the moment when kind of ChatGPT kind of hit the mainstream, and
Oh,
we've just gone through this insane, kind of pace, right? It's just and so I guess back to your point, I suppose around the kind of the basics, right? The brilliant basics, like how do you, I suppose, in a sense, sort of like really ensure that sort of you're adapting, you're learning to kind of stay ahead and to utilize all of this new tech, but at the same time you're not
yeah.
throwing the baby out with the bathwater.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about ChatGPT. For years, I mean, for the past however long it's been around, schools were resistant to that. I mean, my daughters would come home and be like, "I'll just get on ChatGPT," but the teachers wouldn't accept work through ChatGPT. So it's like, how backwards are we thinking? They're trying to become more efficient in doing their work. Like, I understand not copy and pasting stuff from there, but having that assistance, why not embrace that technology? And finally, teachers are going, yeah, you can use it, put your own spin on it, cite your own sources, that type of stuff. But they're now accepting of it. So it's just finding that what's the why, what's the whiffum for each person, whether it's on the teacher side or the developer side, or whether it's on the end user side, just finding the why and what's in it for me. How's this going to make my life easier?
And as someone who's been pioneering learning and training in the workplace, when you think about sort of the skills in the organizations that you're either working in or deploying programs in, what do you see as being the top skills that organizations need to build today to prepare them and their teams for the next wave of disruption?
We can get on a video call, we can communicate there, we can text, we can email. We're really good at texting. I mean, people are masterful on text message, and you get them face to face and they can't carry on a conversation. We are losing the ability to actually communicate. Going forward, that's not going to get easier. The more that AI develops and takes over and assists with businesses, the more that people embrace the chat GPT trend, the more that these things develop, it's going to get worse. So as an organization, focus in on, like, when I'm looking for people in our organization, I'm looking for people skills first, communication skills. I can teach technology. I can teach a product. I can't teach people skills. I can't teach you how to have a conversation with somebody and ask follow-up questions, why, and get to the root cause of what's causing your issues, or from a training perspective, what's important to you as a customer. That's where I want to start, and asking those questions. I can't teach that. You either have it or you don't. And that's, to me, that's the biggest miss that organizations just kind of bypass. They're focused so much on that technology that they're forgetting about the people side.
And you talked about your daughters and my kids. How is it we can be teaching those folks those skills?
The best words you can hear as a parent, and I'm gonna do my best not to tear up because I get real. I mean, I'm an emotional guy anyway, and I've got three daughters. I mean, they bought me a shirt. I have three daughters. You can't scare me. Um, there's nothing I haven't seen, or I mean, I think that, and then the next day, here's something new. But the best things you can hear as a parent is, man, we belong to a local golf club. It's a couple blocks away, and the girls are part of the varsity team in high school, and they go over and practice. We know a lot of people over there at the golf club, and they'll go over and practice sometimes, and they'll run into these friends of ours. And the next time we have a conversation, it's, hey, I ran into your daughters. It was so refreshing that they stopped what they were doing, shook my hand, looked me in the eye, and actually could carry on a conversation with me. So many kids nowadays can't do that. And to me as a parent, I mean, I'm getting goosebumps talking about it right now,
Yeah.
because that's all you want to hear. It's having those little conversations at home, saying, "Hey, it's dinner time, no phones at the dinner table." It's simple things like that. Or, "Hey, let's spend 10 minutes and just talk about everybody's day. What happened?" I mean, that turns into, especially with girls, because they want to spill all the tea, turns into an hour-long conversation, right? So it's little things like that, making those connections. You're not going to get over the technology. Let's make no mistake about it. They doom scroll all day long, but it's, let's pause for a second and let's have a conversation. When you go out to dinner, making them order for themselves, looking the waiter or waitress in the eye and having those conversations with people and ordering, and the please, the thank yous, teaching them those types of skills. It's only so much you can do before you say, okay, baby bird, leave the nest, right? And you hope and pray that people come back to you and say, what a good human being that you've helped progress, right?
I really empathize and I totally respect the cheering up. That is the ultimate gift you can give to your next generation, right? And I that's a lovely, lovely way of framing it. Someone like you who's been doing this for so long and has been sort of, I suppose, in a sense, sort of, ultimately, tasked with, transforming organizations with tens, if not hundreds of thousands of people around the world. How do you, I suppose, define success for a learning program? What are the what are the metrics that really matter to you? And I'm not talking about just attendance or completion. I want to get much, much more deeper into this question.
There's all kinds of KPIs. There's adoption rates, there's retention, there's churn rates, there's all these things that we can look at to say, hey,
Yeah.
is this successful? I mean, at the end of the day, if you're launching a set of courses and you're looking at completion rates or the number of questions that somebody got right, you're missing the boat. Really, I mean, you could have hit play and then come in and taken the quiz at the end of it 20 minutes later, right? And don't kid yourself if you don't think that's happening. The real understanding whether things are working or it's successful or not to me is true customer feedback. It's, hey, here's what I loved about it. Here's things that could improve. And being able to listen and to glean that information. And it may not fix the current situation, but the next time an initiative comes up or the next learning and development phase comes up, you can adapt and adjust to that. It's listening to the end users, listening to your customer, and being able to adapt to what and the changes that they want or need, right? Just like we have to embrace technology and change with that, we have to adapt and learn how to evolve and change our training methods with the next generation. Things are completely different. I think you would agree. Well, if you don't, I mean, we could have that debate, but things are completely different now versus 20 years ago on how we trained.
100%. And, you know, thinking about sort of all the things that you've done, share me a sort of a story or an example where, you've kind of developed a learning intervention that led to real kind of like business, impact, performance impact. What do kind of I'm sure you've got loads of stories, but I really want you to bring it to life for me.
Yeah, it really, I would go back to that to our digital retail initiative at Hyundai. It really, that was the pivotal point in we're taking a huge leap right now. We're investing thousands and thousands of dollars into this initiative and being able to get the dealers to embrace that and to utilize that pre-COVID was huge. That was a huge transformation. I mean, now it's how do we live without this? So fast forward to I'm on the power sports side now, and we also are, cater to the trailer industry. Um, you're looking at that going, why haven't you embraced, digital retail? Why haven't you embraced this technology? And it's same story, different chapter, different characters. It's just, you know, the same story. We're just 15 years behind. So it's okay, how do I resonate with this customer? Because automotive, if you say power sports, hey, we learned this in automotive, I don't want to be automotive, right? It just and it's a different customer. It's a unique business where it's a want, not a need. I want to buy this side by side. I want to buy this motorcycle. I don't need to have it. I want to have that. So it's how do we get the right amount of technology? How do we change that training and development to cater to that customer because it's different?
And what was it that made it so pivotal? When you look back now, you think, God, that's what moved the needle. What was it about it?
It was getting a bunch of dealers that said, "We know how to run our business. Don't tell us how to run our business." To embrace and understand how this is going to make their life easier. What's the ROI for us? And helping, it's really just getting over that hurdle and speaking their language, getting on a one-to-one basis with them and saying, hey, I know you've been doing it the same way, and I know you have a solid team. If we can just get them to embrace this on the front line. So leadership embraces it, dealer principals understand it. How do we get your front line to embrace this? What type of training do we need to do for that to get you to embrace the technology side? So that's really when
Mm.
it made an impact, is when the front line started to embrace the training and the technology.
If you could sort of turn back the clock and give the younger kind of Jared, like sort of one sort of piece of advice, what would it be?
Man, I could write a book about that. I would say, and I'm still learning this today. The biggest piece of advice that I would give myself back then is patience. It'll come. That's something that we don't want. We are in a society, and we talked about transformation from, you know, riding your bike to your friend's house to beepers to internet to all this evolution. We're in a society right now where we want it right now, right? I get on the internet, I get on Google and I search something, I want the answer right now. And if it's lagging, why is my Wi-Fi lagging? Why don't I have the answer right now? It's taking a step back and going, all right, you might have on the surface what you think is the answer, but dig a little bit deeper and be patient. Don't be in such a hurry to get to the end goal. Stop along the way and say, okay, this is working. Why is it working? What adjustments could we make? Slow down just a little bit.
I need to take some of that advice.
I have to tell myself that every day. Trust me.
So look, you're dealing with senior executives,
Mhm.
some of them may well be complete evangelical about kind of what you do. Others maybe not. Maybe they're not so expert in kind of, what you are in. How, ultimately, do you kind of help teach them, I suppose, in a sense, the value and power of and the impact that kind of learning can have in their organizations?
Yeah, they really don't want to see that, right? They don't want to see the end goal. They want to see high level. How's this going to help my organization? What's the ROI for us? What's this cost? It's costing us a boatload of money to roll training out. What's what is our ROI? What are we getting out of this? And it's really just painting that full picture of here's why we're doing it, here's the need, here's what we're doing and the initiatives that we're going to roll out. Here's how it's going to impact you as an organization. It's going to cost this much, but here's what you're going to get in return. So it's being able to paint that entire picture for them is the key. And it's difficult because it changes executive to executive. I
Yeah.
mean, it really does. What's their priority? Focusing in on that because that changes with every executive that you talk to. What's the priorities? So,
And we've been talking about, the bike and the beeper and the web and AI. Let's kind of like let's project forward for a bit. Let's just go kind of like 3 to 5 years. You can pick however far you want to go. What does the kind of the future of learning look like?
oh, hell, if you can tell me that, we're going to be rich. Really. It's, thinking about 3 to 5 years from now,
Hmm.
it's really just being able to adapt to change.
Hmm.
Ride this AI wave, ride this change right now. It's going to be something else in 3 to 5 years. We know that. That's just how things go. But just being able to adapt and pivot quickly to the changes, right? That's what I love about current organization is learn fast, make mistakes quickly, and pivot and make change quickly, right? Don't sit on that and just go, well, we're going to launch this anyway. Nobody, this is what I think. And if everybody doesn't like it, I don't care. It's learn from your mistakes, learn quickly, pivot and pivot quickly, right?
Yeah, I love basically teaching someone basically how to learn. That is the thing, right? If you
Oh,
can
yeah.
if you know how, if you can learn how to learn, then you are set. Is kind of that's someone said that to me once and it just totally landed. It was like, yep, that's it.
And it's different for everybody, right?
Yeah,
How you learn is different from how I learn. I mean, some people are audio, some people are visual. I mean, there's different ways. So it's also having that understanding of how do I hit all of those audiences without having to recreate the wheel every time to, and do things differently for each audience, right?
totally. So I'm going to ask you some quick fire questions. I want you to kind of honestly just come up with the first answer that comes in your head, okay?
Love it.
All right. So if you could instantly download a new skill into your brain, kind of Matrix style, what would it be?
To speak any language. Every language. I love people and I love to communicate. I want to be able to communicate with you in your own language. We recently, and I know this is rapid fire, but I'm going to give you a story here as well.
Go for it. Yeah, yeah. Love it.
We just recently went over to Croatia, my wife and I, celebrating our 20-year anniversary. And being over there, we talk about this all the time when we go on vacation. It's like shame on us for not learning some of the language and being able to speak. And we're so arrogant, especially in the US, to just say, "Oh, everybody should speak English," right? Um, but that would be the one skill I would just want to be able to speak in any language.
And you have the chance to basically take a ride, be that car, bike, plane ride. who is your dream partner, your dream guest?
So I already have that. That's my wife.
It's a good answer.
We used
It's a
to
safe
take.
answer.
No, it's there's a million celebrities that you could pick, and it's
Yeah.
like, okay, this is going to be good for about a half an hour. But we used to drive up long drives, 3 4 hour drives, listening to music, having conversations, and got to know each other. And I mean, you truly learn about a person and a different way to think. And like 22 years later, she's still putting up with me. So knock on wood that she does it for another 22, right?
One habit that you practice that helps you stay current and effective as a leader.
Oh, patience. And being able to, and it's how do you do that, or how do you accomplish that? It's not through the coffee that I drink in the morning. I trust me, it's not that. It's being able to disconnect for a minute, whatever your disconnect is, whether it's 10 minutes of meditation, whether it's yoga, whether it's um hell, there's sometimes, and I'm going to admit this shamefully, but I mean, I'll turn the TV on and watch old school cartoons sometimes that just kind of take me back to my childhood, just to get me centered back on that. Hey, slow down for a second. It's not that serious. Just reminding myself, patience, patience, patience.
And if teleportation were real, where would you go and why?
I would be on a beach in Bali sipping Mai Tais with my wife. That to me, beachfront, in the sun, clear water, being able to jump in the water and snorkel, that is my chi. I love that, centers me. That's where I would be.
And if you could have one Marvel superpower, what would it be?
Superman strength.
And lastly, your go to driving song or playlist.
Ooh, this is different. It depends on who I'm with.
Yeah.
If I'm with my wife, I don't get to pick. If it's me, Zach Brown, anything. I don't care. Anything Zach Brown, I'll listen to that till, yeah, the whole ride.
Jared, it's been a real pleasure talking to you today. Thank you so much for your time.
It's been a pleasure. I appreciate it. Sorry I've been elusive, but we got her done. Thanks for having me.